All right, let's get the Neighborhood Watch meeting underway. I want to thank you guys for coming out. It looks like a great group of people made it out here tonight. So I moved in '01, and on the back of our street sign it said Neighborhood Watch. I don't think today that sign's pretty faded. And I never had anybody come up and tell us what we're supposed to do, how to do the Neighborhood Watch. And a couple of years ago, I went to a Neighborhood Watch meeting that was at City Hall, but it was more for block captains, and I didn't really understand how it went. So what we're interested in is protecting Windsong Valley, because we've read whether people are getting tailgates stolen or other crime, checking doors on cars that are in the street. So I wanted to bring the officers out so that way we'd have a good chance to get this on the right footing, avoid the things that would make a group not have cohesion, and do the things that will bring us together. So without much further ado, I can turn this over to Officer Baca. Now, she was wanting to go without the microphone, so you guys let her know if you can hear her or not.
Hey everybody, my name is Officer Baca. I'm here with Deputy Baudet and Deputy Kramer. I'm going to kind of tell you guys about the Neighborhood Watch program, tools to help us succeed, and Deputy Kramer and Deputy Baudet have some crime stats on what's happening in this specific area. So it'll be really quick, real swift, and then we'll be here to mostly answer your questions, because I'm sure you guys have a lot. Thank you so much for coming out on behalf of the Lake Elsinore Police Department and the Wildomar Police Department, which is one entity. We thank you for taking a vested interest in your neighborhood. Everybody can hear me pretty good?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so just so what Neighborhood Watch, you can't hear? Oh. You want to come closer, or you want me to?
Come closer. She doesn't want to use the mic.
You can't hear?
We don't bite.
You can walk up closer.
Don't be afraid. Come
Yell at us
closer.
like we're criminals.
How about right here? Can you hear me now? Okay. Neighborhood Watch is a program ran by your neighborhood, for the neighborhood, by the neighborhood. We're not really involved in it. We're here to support you if you have any unique crime stats or you want a guest speaker. But ultimately, it's ran by the neighbors for the neighbors. And the biggest thing is a Neighborhood Watch is a crime prevention tool, as well as looking out for each other, but not in a way where you're in other people's business. If your motives aren't for their safety, then your motives may be in the wrong place. So Neighborhood Watch is very little cost, but it really builds group cohesion amongst you all. Like we just had the Holy Fire, and there was a bunch of Neighborhood Watch up in Albert Hill, and they were able to call each other and check on each other. Like we encourage you guys to exchange phone numbers. Like if I was out of town and this neighborhood is on fire, I would expect one of my neighbors to call me and say, hey, are your pets out of your backyard? Or to kind of look out for me if I'm not there. And that's kind of what Neighborhood Watch is. It's not, there's a few things that makes Neighborhood Watch not work, and it's called Facebook. Unfortunately, we find that people use Facebook as a crime prevention tool. Like, hey, did you see this? Hey, did you see that? And you wouldn't believe that we don't get very many calls from this area, which tells us that Facebook is, you're using your Facebook as a police department in lieu of calling us, which means you're going to stay in the problem because collectively we're the solution to help the unwanted guests in this neighborhood not come back. Facebook is not. And Facebook is kind of used like as a telephone, like something this small. By the time the end of the conversation, it's this big thing that's happening in your neighborhood, and in reality, it's not happening. So later, they'll kind of tell you what's happening where you live, and hopefully encourage you to call us. The old saying, like if you see something, say something. You never know, like the littlest thing, a suspicious car, you have no idea what that can lead to. If that person's on probation, parole, if they have search terms, they can get into that car and tear it up and see what's in there. But if you don't ever call us and you post it on Facebook, that guy's coming back and casing out your guys' neighborhood. People go around checking doors, which is very common. And with the holidays coming up, you got to clean that car out every night. Take out your computers, take out your remote controls, take out the extra set of keys for the car next to it. We had a stolen vehicle. They took both of them because the one car was open with the set of keys to the car next to it. So they got 2 for 1. You know, it's not business as usual anymore. You got to do a little different. You got to be your own advocate. You know, the police department only has so many people. You have to do your protect yourselves, especially with the holidays coming around. Don't leave your laptops, your gifts, your gift cards. You got to clean that car out at night, because if you've seen on some of your cameras, they door check at night. Right? That's very, very common. It's easy, open, see what you got, and they keep it moving, and they're out of your neighborhood in a switch. And it's not uncommon. Nobody calls us, but they'll put it on Facebook, which is extremely counterproductive. You have to call us. And even if you think it's very minute, you have no idea that maybe we have 3 calls of that same person in another neighborhood. So you just never know what has happened, or you may prevent something from happening. So it's important that you guys are your advocate and you call us first and then put it on Facebook. I called the police because this is what I saw. And then another thing that's really popular is cameras. Cameras are great, but you have to be able to retrieve that data if the crime happened at your house. A lot of people have cameras and they see things happening, but when we come to get the data from them, they don't know how to retrieve it. So you might find a camera that's real cheap, but it might be impossible to get the data off of it. So maybe invest in a system that's user-friendly for you guys, so you can get that information and share it with us. It's very common. Lock your cars at night, guys. It's super important that you lock your cars at night. It's something simple. We get busy. It's such an easy fix, but it's a crime of opportunity. They just open the door and take your stuff out, your purse, your laptop, anything. And as far as neighborhood watch, that's where it would come in. Like if I left my garage door open, and Deputy Baudet was my neighbor, he could call me and say, "Hey, your garage door's open. Did you mean to do that?" Like, "Oh my God, I was in such a hurry. I forgot to shut it." And that's what neighborhood watch is. Essentially looking out for each other, but stay out of the personal business and the gossip. That will break your neighborhood watch down in a minute. And you guys won't be looking out for each other, you'll be looking for the nonsense. And that's what neighborhood watch is not. So it's a really simple program. You just look out for each other. It's a great crime prevention tool, and it's little to no cost. And you want to be the neighborhood that has an active neighborhood watch because it's a great deterrent. You want to be the neighborhood that calls the police anytime someone suspicious is in your neighborhood. Because if I was a burglar and I was coming to your neighborhood and I know you called, I'm going to go somewhere where no one pays attention and just puts it on Facebook but never calls the police. So it's really simple. You see something, you say something, and look out for one another. For their safety, exchange phone numbers. If someone's on vacation, park your car in their driveway. Make the house look occupied. Bring in the trash. Don't leave the newspapers in the driveway. If you have a abandoned home that's like a repo, call us. We can try and find out who the owner is and make a suggestion. We can't make them do anything, but we can make a suggestion to at least get the lawn mowed. Or if you see some nonsense going on in the house that nobody lives in, call us. Do not put it on Facebook because it's very, very counterproductive. And I know it sounds redundant, but it's happening everywhere. Facebook is like their police department, and it will get you nowhere. Go ahead.
It's probably not your guys' problem, but a city problem. You call the police department, it takes an hour and a half or an hour plus to get a response. So
What
do
would you
you
be
do?
calling us for?
Excuse
What
me?
would be the call?
Watching somebody break into somebody's car, fight, kid got hit. I've seen it multiple times. It's probably not your guys' problem. I know Wildomar's short-staffed as police, but it's all the time. You see it all the time.
100%. Biggest frustration probably most of you have would be response times, calls for service, okay? Calls for service are handled by priority. So, for example, somebody being shot, actively being shot, we'll list that as a priority 1A, or priority 1, okay? A police officer is probably going to drive to that very fast with his lights and sirens on, 100%. Priority 2, yeah, we're going to clear a past burglary call or a past theft call and go to that, priority 2. Maybe domestic violence,
Yep.
some type of family disturbance, some type of domestic disturbance. Some car accidents are going to get listed as a priority too, depending on if there's enough information to say it's a major injury collision. And then priority 3s are pretty much the standard. That's where somebody accidentally dials 911 on their phone. Well, that call doesn't go away. It goes to our dispatch. It gives either, if they were able to get the number, depending on how fast it happened, they'll give a general area. The phone number could be listed, or it could be just bounced off a cell tower, and now you have a prefix, a 911 prefix. So that's going to generate a call for service, a 911 mobile with basically nothing. It'll say a phone number, an area, and then say 2,500 meters from this location. Well, that's a huge area, right? Potentially, we may not even respond to that. We may just have to call admin because there's no way one officer is going to be able to check that great of a distance. Thefts, things, so you woke up the next morning, your car door was open, you noticed things were rummaged through, somebody obviously went through your car. Now, theft, petty theft, and burglary. If somebody forces their way into your car, your house, that's going to be considered a burglary. That's a felony, okay? You leave your car door unlocked and somebody opens it, goes into your car, steals $949 worth of property. That is a misdemeanor crime. If I find that person, he could be arrested 100%. He's going to go to jail. He'll get issued a citation. We're all big. Me and my partner, we work as the problem-oriented policing team. We take people to jail. That's pretty much our goal. If somebody's in jail for 4 hours because it's a misdemeanor, or sobering, or whatever the case may be, that's 4 hours now that you guys are not going to have your house messed with, or 4 hours that another officer is not going to get a call for service for because he's not out on the street creating a problem. But what it comes down to is staffing and prioritization of the calls for service. You guys are not the only ones in the city. There's 35,000 residents in the city of Wildomar. Windsong, from my time working in Wildomar, I'd been here maybe the last year and a half now. I worked graveyard shift, and I was it. I was the only officer for the whole city. Granted, calls for service are not as high at nighttime, so there was more time for me to go be a police officer. What you guys pay us to do, be proactive and try and stop crime from happening. We try and go out and try and make a difference. But we're reactive in nature because the staffing levels, or we can't be everywhere. We had a big theft of businesses being broken into, commercial businesses. I don't know if you know Teakwoods or the Sprint store, commonly broken into. So what happened is the group or the theft ring would start at one city. So if they went from Temecula down the 15 and work this way, or if they're coming from Corona working their way this way. So if that agency, Corona, is proactive in saying, hey, we just had a string of burglaries at this type of business, they'll letting the next agencies know. That was crucial so that we can kind of prepare. So Lake Elsinore last week had one at the Rite Aid in Lake Elsinore. So a few minutes later, right, because by the time I call, your alarm system goes off at a business, or pretty much at host homes as well. It goes, oh, I got an alarm. Now let me call all 4 people that are listed on your thing, right? So, oh, nobody answered here. Let's go to the next person. Nobody answered here. Nobody answered. Okay, now I'll call the police and dispatch somebody. Okay, so that takes 7 minutes just to generate the call for service. So you called all the responders, nobody answered. How long did that take? A few minutes? You're looking at 10 to 15 minutes before you even called the police to let us know that something happened. So I'm in the farm, and now I have to respond down Bundy Canyon to get to Windsong. You know, hopefully at the hours and the speed I was driving, I got there fairly quickly. But it's already way too late. So that's another thing. If you can set up something with your alarm companies, say, hey, don't call me. If something goes off, call the police department first, and then call me. And then we can figure it out. If you call the police or an alarm goes off, right now we don't currently have any type of billing system. You know, our job is to respond to calls for service. We will respond to a call for service. I can't guarantee how fast it'll happen. It all comes down to what's going on and what are those other officers doing. So your frustration, it's definitely 100% us, but it's also the city. We're the ones that are going to respond to that call for service, and it just depends on what's going on. If I arrest somebody and I drive them to Murrieta and in the jail now, who's here in the city? Nobody, right? So if a priority call comes out and I can't just drop this guy off that's in the back seat of my car, or a lady off on Winchester, so now who's available from the Lake Elsinore Sheriff Station? So either an officer from the city of Lake Elsinore or an officer from the county area will respond to that priority call. If it's not a priority 1 or 2, it's most likely it's going to pend, meaning it's going to wait there until I clear, and then I can respond to it. So the city of Wildomar is actually doing good things right now. There's a measure coming up for you guys for additional funding, a 1% tax, right? It may help, it may not. That's up to you as a resident of Wildomar to decide.
This is not an election issue that needs to be disputed.
Okay, man. Thank you. Then I lost my train of thought. They brought their staffing levels back up to what they were. When they had some of the DMV registration, some of that money, they were able to get some of that money back. So they brought their staffing levels back up. So at nighttime you have 2 officers, swing shift you have 3 officers, and daytime you have 2 officers. Okay, they want to get that higher. Whether either they adding a problem-oriented policing team like myself and Deputy Baudet, or they want to add a traffic enforcement officer because there's some traffic problems, either a motor officer or some type of traffic issue, because there's a lot of collisions. A traffic collision, that could take a while for that one officer to have to deal with, so it takes him away from something else. So priority of calls for service, it's huge. It's everywhere. It's not just in the city of Wildomar. I understand your frustration. My goal is to, we eat as we go. We don't have a lunch break or anything like that. So I completely understand your frustration. If that was me calling the police, I would want to respond or have somebody respond quickly. It may be something that's very important to you, and we're humans too. We have to, as police officers, we have to try and help out the best we can. We have other things going on. We can't excuse that there's other things going on, but I understand your frustration. I know my partners do. Staffing is horrible, and it's not at the Wildomar level. The contract cities pay for something, the sheriff's department gives them what they pay for. The county of Riverside, there's a whole little staffing issue there, so it's hard to get more officers to the station, the Lake Elsinore station, who does the contracts. So it's a county-wide issue for staffing, but realistically, priority calls for service, 100%. There's nothing other than staffing and the types of calls for service that your other fellow residents may have called in. It's everywhere.
Thank you.
So I completely understand. It's normal. It's unfortunate.
It is what it is.
We do the best that we can with what we have available.
What about
Thank
all
you.
the new homes they're building? Wouldn't that generate some revenue to?
Yeah, I would think so. Definitely sales tax. But how long does it take for that to get into the city's bank? That's the issue. It takes a while. You can have through 100 applicants that they went and applied at the sheriff's department. 100 applicants. How many did we hire?
2.
1 or 2 maybe, realistically, to get through everything, background, the academy. There's 26 written tests. There's driving tests, shooting tests. If they fail it once, they get to take it again. If they fail it twice, thank you, have a good day. That's it. You'd have to start back all over through the entire hiring process. So it's a challenging thing that it's just hard to retain people. And then the sheriff has other responsibilities, patrol, corrections, and the courthouse. So there's a lot of things that they're responsible for. Yes, Jen?
Regarding the neighborhood watch, where I live, at the corner of Billy Ann, Blueberry, and right across there, we have a very aggressive and active watch going on with the neighbors. I mean, we communicate, we text, we do everything. How do we get signs? We want signs.
What signs are you referring to?
Neighborhood watch signs. I want them on each
Can they
corner.
just
Where
buy
do
them
we
at
get
an
those
online
from?
thing?
Yeah.
Or do we don't get those out?
No, we don't buy them, but you buy them and then we'll take them to Public Works and they'll install them.
Where do we get them from?
You can go anywhere online and get them.
Okay. And who will install them?
You will have somebody call me at the police department. I will pick them up from you and take them to Public Works in Wildomar, and they will put them up for you.
Okay. I'll get your phone.
So crime trends. I'll go over some crime trends that we have from our crime analysis, just specifically for the Windsong area. Okay, the entire city is broken up into geographical areas. So in the police world, we call them beats, right? Reporting districts or beats. So The 15 is kind of the divider. There's even number beats, odd numbers. From 80 to 89, I think there's that very different areas. So this particular area, it's just this beat is within this beat. Honestly, there's not a lot of calls for service from July and August. Vehicle theft, not very high, within under 5. We wrote them down because I don't want to give you bad information.
2.
So there's 2 vehicle thefts in both months.
Yeah, July and
So between July and August, there was 2 reported vehicle thefts in your area, your beat. You're going to always have those folks that are coming and checking door handers and all that stuff. You guys are in a community where you have thoroughfare, right? We have Central or Baxter, take Severa, and they can now get to the AM/PM, that's 24 hours on Hidden Springs, right? Go down to get to Frederick and Cat, and it's a major thoroughfare that they can weasel their way through. You also have some neighbors that are probably not the best neighbors in the world. That's in every community, unfortunately. We can't just shoot people away. We can't determine who buys a home or what they're going to do with their lifestyle. So you have some bad neighbors, right? Everyone, maybe, potentially. And then you have some maybe homes that are not very good because they're not keeping up on their lawn. They have a car that's been parked there forever, and now you want to call on a suspicious vehicle or an abandoned vehicle. So you may have seen that car there for 1 month. It's got cobwebs, dust, dirt. Now you've called the police, right? You've asked us to now take liability for this vehicle, take responsibility for this vehicle. So we have a process that we have to follow, okay? It's the 72-hour notice. So we'll respond. Normally, we chalk the tire. We put chalk on the tire on the ground to say, hey, okay, when I was here, this is where it's at. If he moves it and he brings it right back to that spot, great. But if he moves it and it's no longer in that spot, in 72 hours, if I come back and it looks moved, well, now I have to start over, okay? It's maybe an eyesore for you and your neighbors, but unfortunately, we have to follow some rules that we're going to take liability and steal your car, basically, right? In 72 hours, we're going to tow your vehicle and impound it. So we have to say, okay, we tried. Yeah, definitely cobwebs, dirt. It just looks like it's not drivable. License. If the registration's expired over 6 months, all bets are off. You lose your car if you park it on a street. Simple as that. We don't have to wait 72 hours for something like that if the registration's over 6 months. That's according to the vehicle code. So for us, policy 72 hours. We'll put a yellow tag on it. It's a half sheet. We'll take half of it. So if I put that on Friday, now I get off. So now I'm off for 3 days, and I come back Monday or whatever. I may have had other things going on where I completely forgot about that car. So if you're the person calling in, ask to speak to the officer. And when you do, the officer should call you. If you call the police and say, hey, I'd like to speak to the officer. If the officer doesn't call you, I encourage you to call the supervisor or call back and ask him to call you back. Because that's not good police business. That's not good. That's horrible on our part. If you ask us to call you, I should call you regardless. If you don't answer your phone, that's on you. That's a block number. If I leave a message, you can always call back, and the dispatcher will send me mail on my computer and say, hey, can you call this person? Yeah, no problem. If I'm busy, it may take a while, or if I get completely sidetracked or I have something else going on, I may forget. I'm human too. But if you call the police, I encourage you to ask to speak to the officers. If it's something like, hey, if it's an abandoned vehicle, call and ask them, hey, can I have the incident number that was generated? Anytime anyone ever calls the police, the sheriff's department keeps everything. So if you call, an incident number is generated. That is never going anywhere. That'll always be tracked. It'll give who called, phone number, dates, times, the information that you provided. Hey, there's an abandoned vehicle. Here's the license plate, description, etc. And then it'll give who had any dealings with that call. So it'll have me, the dispatcher. If somebody backed me up to handle that call, they'll all be attached to that call for service or that incident number. So you can't run away from that. You're not going to be able to hide from that. So call, and when you're calling in something, ask them to call you back if you really want to speak to them. If you want to call in your neighbor who's being loud and you don't want to be the guy that says, hey, my neighbor's having a party, but I don't want them to know, and you want to be anonymous. Okay. I cannot be the victim of a noise complaint. Yeah. I cannot be the victim of a crime in that aspect. If someone wants to fight me, I can be the victim of a battery or something like that. But if your peace is being disturbed by noise, and I show up and I can clearly hear the noise, But I can't go and say, hey, your music's too loud. I'm going to arrest you because you've disturbed my peace when I drove down your street. It doesn't work that way. So we have to have a victim. We have to have a victim of a crime. Most of the time, realistically, hey, you're not being a very good neighbor. Can you turn your music down? Certainly, they do. Police officer drives away, music's back up. Right now, I just got dispatched another call. It's going to take me another hour maybe to get back there because you've now called back and said, hey, the music turned back up. What happened? This deputy didn't do anything. So ask to have the officer call you. Take down their name. My name's Mike Kramer. I have an ID number, a 4-digit ID number. Every sheriff's employee has one. You can ask for that, and you can ask for the incident number. That way you have it. Hey, it's just a reference thing if something comes up. Or if you want to build a timeline of saying, hey, I have all these problems, and now you have an unruly neighbor or something, and you want to take it a little bit further, but just document it so you have something to a reference to say, yeah, I've called this many times and it's a continual problem. How do we solve this problem? How can we nip it in the butt so that it doesn't continue to get worse? So if you're calling the police and you'd like to be called back, which I encourage you to, just so you can vent or tell your side of the story, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, I'd like the officer to call me back, and that officer should call you. And if they don't, you should call back. And if you don't get any response, I encourage you to call a supervisor and get somebody to tell that officer, hey, go be a knucklehead and call that person back. But realistically, crime in your community, the Windsong Valley, is not that high, honestly. Yes, sir.
Talked about shower like on a cell phone call. Like a lot of people got rid of their landlines when they got cell phones. So if you call, let's say you're having a burglary across the street, your neighbor, so you grab your cell phone because it's handy, then you call. Is that, if you have a landline, is it preferable to go landline because then it tells you where you're at, your address and stuff? Does it save enough time to make a difference?
Honestly, I don't know the time difference. I will tell you that it may not be a big time difference, but there is a time difference. I don't have a hard line at my house, right? When I got my house, I had one, and people kept calling me that I had no clue where they were. So go ahead and unplug that. Don't use it anymore. Cell phones. Realistically, what happens, you dial 911 from your cell phone, it goes to CHP's dispatch. Where you at, they can generally get a general idea on a map where your phone is, and then they can say, okay, transfer that to the local area where you're at. So, hey, I'm in the city of Wildomar, is my address. Okay, to the sheriff's dispatch. And then from there, they'll be the ones now coming onto the phone. The transfer process could be lost, but if the dispatcher gives the dispatcher the information, the new dispatcher should call back, or will call back to get the information. Is there a big delay with technology nowadays? I honestly don't think it's that big of a difference. So I'll just read these stats so you have them, and then we'll open it up for questions, okay? This is July 2018 and August 2018. And I'll do them together. So, well, actually, I'll tell you this. It looks like something's one residential burglary in July. So, a burglary, house, locked vehicle, you have a storage compartment in your backyard, some type of structure, the way the penal code reads. So one burglary in July, one vehicle theft, right? Taking somebody's vehicle without their permission. Did they leave their keys in the car? Could you have prevented that? I don't know. We'll talk about that. Theft from a vehicle. So you left your car unlocked potentially, and somebody went in and took something out. Then you got 5 petty and grand thefts. So I don't know the breakdown, but somebody went into AM/PM and stole something. A petty theft, right? Under $950. Grand theft is over that 950 threshold. So misdemeanor, felony. Drugs, drug-related, 7 calls for service. Vandalism or graffiti, so either somebody spray painted a wall or somebody threw a brick through your front windshield. Something like that. 2, and that's in July. Disturbing the peace, 3. Trespassing, so you have signs posted or they're here in the park after hours, and you call, hey, there's people wandering the parks. You guys actually have a good security system that he monitors this park, the officer. But 2 trespassing for July. And now for the month of August, 3 residential burglaries, so that went up. Vehicle theft remained the same, there's 1. Petty theft, 3. 1 vandalism. 6 disturbing the peace, so the Kids might have been out a little late there. That went up. 2 trespassing, that remained the same. And then drug related was 1. So that's what we have for this beat. Okay, this isn't for the entire city of Wildomar. This is just for this geographical area. Okay, so realistically these numbers are probably a lot higher for the citywide, but we wanted to keep you guys informed on what's happening in your guys' neighborhood. So those are what we have available to us. And now, in a civilized manner, we'll try and answer the questions the best we can. Go ahead, ma'am.
You had mentioned, ma'am, that you want us to call whenever there's something suspicious. My question is, you said something about incidents. Does every incident or every call get logged, or
Every
only if you
911
determine
call
it?
generates a file. Anytime
sorry?
you call 911, it generates a file.
But what if
regardless
you don't
it's-
call 911? What if you call the non-emergency
It
number?
still generates a file.
Same.
It does.
Anytime you call our dispatch center, so for the police world, we have a file number, an incident number, a report number. They're all the exact same number.
Okay, and then once you generate that information, do you then sort it out somehow into these different?
Our dispatcher does that. So you type in the address or the cross streets, they look it up on a map, they'll say, okay, this is in the 86 beat or this area, and the reporting district is this. It's just basically for tracking purposes at a later time.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So then, once you track it, then do you see some type of a trend or something, and does someone look at that information and determine maybe where you need more patrols or something of that nature?
Our crime analysis, so there's one crime analysis that works at the Lake Elsinore Sheriff Station. So she's responsible for Lake Elsinore, Wildomar, and our county area. She puts out a monthly sheet, maybe a couple times a month actually that I've seen. She includes people who are recently released that are on parole, and that's for the entire station area. So Lake Elsinore Sheriff Station controls Wildomar, Lake Elsinore, and then the county. So at a station level, so we want to give, instead of printing up one for Wildomar, they disseminate them in our briefing where all of our police officers work. It has newly released parolees, people with warrants. It has all the vehicle thefts that occurred in the last month. So that helps. And then a area of where theft crimes were occurring. So it'll be on a map for the whole station area, a huge map. And it's broken down by burglary, vehicle theft, shoplifting, stuff like that. And that's sent out. So that's tracked, and the officers that are working patrol get that. But it all comes down to calls for service. So if I'm busy on a call for service and Deputy Baudet is busy on a call for service, then we're not going to have the time to go and be proactive to set up and watch a particular area. Right now in our current assignment, we have a little more time to do stuff like that, and we are able to. But realistically, the frontline patrol officers are the ones that are doing that. They get the information, they do the best to restore it, and then somebody gives them a piece of paper to say, hey, hold on to this. So you have an idea. When you get some free time, you can check this out or go to those certain areas during those time periods and do extra patrol because something is occurring during that time.
Okay, thank you.
I want to say something about when you call 911. It's like be the best witness. Like if you see something, say something. If you see a car driving through, you may not get the license plate, but you know the windshield was cracked or there was a sticker of a flag on the back. Like being the best witness you can be. So when you call dispatch, you give them the address, and everything you're saying is relaying right to the deputy when he gets that call. The make, model, serial number, what the car looked like, whatever you saw is going to be relayed to the deputy in that call. So part of being a neighborhood watch, you learn to be a good witness, and you just look for things that look out of ordinary, like a car. You may not get the license plate because we don't expect you to go out and take a picture, but if you're looking out the window and you see like, it looks like, it's missing a bumper, it's missing a front license plate, any identifying information like that helps the deputy when they're looking for something. So being a good witness and when you see something, say something is such a great asset to us.
Well, you don't want people calling 911 for every little thing. I mean, like I said, you can call
If it
the
doesn't look right,
non-emergency line too.
you have no idea what it's going to lead to. It's just those random calls. Oh, there's a suspicious vehicle, and you have no idea what's in that car. So you can't really decipher what's going on based on what you see.
Okay.
So that's why you call law enforcement, where they can do a knock and talk. If they're on probation or parole, they can start doing search terms. So, you know what I mean? If it doesn't
So
look
you do
right,
want people to call 911 more often.
sure. If it doesn't look right,
not necessarily 911 and something like that. If you just see a car, hey, that car's not normal, but they just drove by 4 times. And there's people in it that maybe don't look like the best citizens in the world, or they're not. They don't belong. They're out of, you know, they don't belong. Everyone knows that, right? You know what I'm talking about. It's just not normal. They're not your neighbor that lives there, but for whatever reason they decided to park in their driveway and then they back out and drive away. So if you guys are seeing something that doesn't look normal, that just doesn't look right. If they're gonna get out, kick in your neighbor's door, then yeah, I would dial 911 and say, hey, there's an active burglary occurring. But if not, hey, there's this car, it's driven by, it's suspicious to me. Here's all the information that I have. So you just took all that information, gave it to somebody else, that person inputted it into a computer and gave it to me. If you could be specific, great. If not, don't fault yourself or say, oh, you know, it might have been a Honda or a Toyota. You say it's a silver 4-door car. So when I get into the area, I can say, well, not too many silver 4-door cars except for that one. They don't look like they belong here because I've been working this area for a while. I'm going to go introduce myself to them. Now, do I have enough probable cause to investigate or to try to do a traffic stop right then and there based on that? I don't know. It'll take a little bit of creativity to articulate, hey, you know, just because they're driving down the street and they look suspicious doesn't give me the right to take their rights away to stop them. So I have to find other things. Maybe they have a cracked windshield. Maybe their blinker, they didn't use their blinker. I have to find another avenue to get into the car or get to speaking to them. If they just pulled over, I could pull over and walk up to anybody in this park right now and say, how are you doing? Is it okay if I speak with you?
Okay.
And if you start having a conversation with me, then clearly it would be okay to speak with you, right? If you tell me, pound sand, sir, I don't want to talk to you, okay, have a good day. Go ahead, ma'am.
Do we call the non-emergency line then?
Yeah, a non-emergency number or something like that. If it's not actively occurring and there's not somebody that's in danger or needs help, 911 for emergencies, right? You understand what an emergency probably is. We're all adults. We kind of have an idea. If something's not right and it's like, hey, this is not right. I don't know if somebody's in that house or somebody's stealing my car right now. I want to get that information immediately. 911. Non-emergency number, 951-776-1099, 1099. Or there's like a 1-800 number that gets you to the same thing, but 776-1099 from your local phone, cell phone. That'll go to the Sheriff's Department dispatch, who will route your call to the Wildomar police officers.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Yes, ma'am. 951 is the area code, right? 776-1099. Yeah, that phone number is going to Riverside. So if you call 911, it's going to the same person. They're just not going to answer it as quickly, right? You're going to go through a prompt. I think it's press 5, and that will get you to speaking to somebody, and then they'll take the call just as if you called 911 immediately.
That's 24 hours.
Yeah, definitely. The police station, that's not who you call for calls for service, right? 245-3300 to the Wildomar Police Department, Lake Elsinore Police Department, the Sheriff's Station. That's a business office, 8 to 4. They're not going to handle calls for service there. If you need to speak to an officer, says, hey, I had this officer take a report, I'd like to speak with him, and you want to call that number during business office, the clerk there is going to take that information, is going to email me and say, hey, this person had called, can you call them back? And then when I come into work at 9 p.m. and I get through some stuff, 1 second please, and I get through some stuff, then I may inconvenience you and call you back because those are the hours I work, unfortunately. So you may get a late block call and you're not going to answer, which is understandable. I always ask that maybe you get the officer's email so you have a direct line of contact, right? I have no problem handing out my email address. It's my work email. And I just ask that you reference the incident number so that I have an idea of what I'm referring to when you email me. So if you want to call the police officer and it's like a report and he gives you an incident number because you just had your car stolen or something like that, ask him, hey, can you put your email address on it? That way I can email you directly to follow up. Maybe there's something I remembered that I forgot I left in the car, or maybe, hey, I remembered this, or I have video footage ready for you, etc. It doesn't hurt to ask for that information. So you have it.
Number again?
Which number would you like?
The non-emergency.
Non-emergency number is 951 area code 776-1099. And that's for our sheriff's dispatch.
Thank you.
Apparently we have some goodies that have that phone number on it in this bag that's over here. We're going to ask questions later to see if how well you retain this information. Get this.
Can you put that on the page here? Thanks.
Don't be shy, please. We're here for you. We're not going anywhere. If somebody calls 911 right now, we are not responding to it unless it's a major incident.
Yeah, everywhere going to
Somebody
check
else
their
will deal with
houses
it. Yes, sir.
right now. Question about our house next door.
Pulled over. Front of them. I had them. Wiped my finger on the graffiti. I had it on the thing. I called 911. Officer came out. Showed them where they were. But they didn't do anything about it. He said, "Well, you really didn't catch me doing the crime." Well, I had the ink on my finger.
You didn't physically see them spray painting, right? Is that something?
I drove by him. I saw him duck down.
Okay.
So I
So, right.
stopped and I went, I know they're up to no good.
A reasonable
I reversed
person
myself,
would believe that they are up to no good.
pulled up on the sidewalk, reversed. I got out. What are you doing? The kid popped up. I went, "Oh, you just did that." He put the pin in his pocket. I took the pin out of his pocket.
That's poor police work. Okay. Okay, I arrest a juvenile. Juvenile arrest, that's a whole nother crappy system, right? So they're most likely not going to be accepted into juvenile hall because of the severity of the crime, right? They only keep juveniles for major crimes. That is something we're going to release.
Graffiti is a major crime.
Not in the
No more.
eyes of the justice
$50 a
system.
year on cleaning it up. I've been doing it for 25 years out here
No,
myself.
I'm not disputing that. In the criminal justice world, that is a low crime. But then you have to account it's a juvenile, right? The juvenile deals a little differently than the adult world. Okay. What happened, and just what I'm hearing, I don't have any facts other than what you're telling me, sir. So I just call that poor police work. Okay. I could have, you could ask some questions, do some type of investigative work, and document it. I can interview him. Maybe he's got some paint on his hands, etc. I can write a report. I can even list him as a suspect and arrest him. He's going to get released to parents. Most likely, he's not going to go to juvenile hall over that. And then you send this report, because juveniles are juvenile probation. That's who deals with juveniles. The district attorney office does not deal with for juveniles. So juvenile probation will take the information, and they may say, well, I don't have enough proof or evidence to deal with. But this was an adult crime. And I submitted that same report, right? Nobody witnessed the crime occurring. We could put some things together. Yeah, it looks suspicious. We could probably put them there, but I can't say definitively, yeah, this is the person that was doing it. I send that to the district attorney for an adult arrest, and the district attorney is going to say, we are not going to file this because we can't prove it, right? We can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Could that officer have done more just based on what you're telling me? I guarantee he could have. I don't know what's going on with him or her. I have no clue. Could he have done more? Yeah. It's your neighborhood. You're upset about it 100%. You have every right to be. I've grown up in the valley my whole life. I have a little bit vested here as well. So I understand the frustration. Nobody wants their community, their neighborhood messed with. That's what it comes down to. Yes, sir.
I think everybody should put a lock on their electric box outside the meter, because if there's smoke in Marietta, they can open the box, turn it off, nobody comes out, they break it.
Great point, sir. Great point. So, electrical box is what he had mentioned. If you have an outside electrical box, they're not in your garage or something, throw a lock on it. It's inconvenient for you maybe sometimes. I keep my key on the garage, so if I have to go out through my side garage door to get into my backyard, I have a lock on my side gate, and I have the same lock on my electrical box, the outside box. Why? Because for that same point, or you get some knucklehead kids come turn your lights off and you inconvenience for a little bit, and you don't know what's going on. So it's just good practice on your behalf to protect yourself. Lock your side gate, lock your electrical box, and then while we're on that topic, we are some of the worst people when it comes to not protecting ourselves. Officer Baca had mentioned it. Packages, right? We all see it on Facebook. You have somebody dropping off a package, a few minutes later somebody else is walking away with your package, and it's not the post office. So it's huge. Cameras are great. You can see that. Maybe you could talk to them through the two-way to deter them. But realistically, if you're not home, you're not going to be able to actively stop that guy from walking away with the package. They probably know that. So by the time you get home or somebody gets to them, they're long gone. But take precautions there, locking up your vehicles, taking items out of your vehicles, locking up your homes, doors, doggy doors. I mean, if there's a will, there's a way. If, criminals, when they go to jail, what do they have? They have all the time in the world. So they're either becoming good criminals or they are trying to actually, do something with their life so that when they get out, they can be a good member of society. And there are those cases, definitely. But some of the laws have changed, and I personally don't see it too often. Right? There's no punishment for somebody. And if there is, it takes a very long time for actual punishment to occur. So, lock up your stuff the best you can. Be vigilant, right, for your neighbors. As a police officer working graveyard, I have no problem knocking on your door at 3 in the morning and waking you up. Trust me, I've seen people in underwear, I've seen completely naked. And it's awkward, but you know what? I do not want that person to become a victim of a crime. I do not want you to wake up in the morning and call me and say, hey, this is what happened. So if I can deter that or prevent that, I'm going to wake you up in the morning, and I'm sorry. And I'm going to apologize, and that person thanks me every time. And it's just one of those things, hey, I forgot. My neighbors, my personal neighbors at my house, they don't like when I call them or knock on their door either, but they respect it, they understand. So if you have a phone number for your neighbor, there's nothing wrong. Hey, I sent a text, hey, I go to work at 8 o'clock or so, and the garage is still open, lights off inside. Hey, Nate, you left your garage open. Thanks, Mike, appreciate it. It's as simple as that. Just be vigilant, take care of your neighbors, because you want them to look out for your stuff as well. Yeah, just do the best to protect yourself. If the criminal wants to take your things or get into your house, unfortunately, it's going to happen. You just have to make steps to do it, to make it worse.
What do you suggest for like at night lighting your house, like garage lights, porch lights?
Yeah, great.
All those on?
Oh yeah. So the question was lighting, outside lighting. Street lights great if you're positioned right, but you have some different shadows. It doesn't protect everything. So if you have the front coach lights, I leave mine on all night. If I'm going to leave earlier in the day and I'm not going to be home until after dark, they're going to be on during the day, but I'm going to turn them on. I know now some of the technologies, they kind of go off during when the sunlight comes up. Those are great too if you can invest in them. I had those and then I put different ones on, right? Because my wife wanted them to match, so I had to get some new ones. Exactly, yeah, timers, stuff like that. Inside your house if you're going to go on vacation, but no, outside lighting is crucial. So you have an outside light for your garage. I have that on all the time. And my front coach lights are on all the time. And I keep my side gate locked. If they get inside and my Frenchies hear them, maybe they'll bark, maybe they'll not. But it's definitely great to have outside lighting because nobody wants to, if it's dark, they have time to do stuff. And they can see lights coming, right, because they're in the darkness. So maybe they see a car coming down the street. This street is fairly dark just on the street side, and you get your random people that like to park here at night and walk the park or just hang out in their car and stop, talk or smoke or whatever they do. If you have outside lighting, it's not bad to leave them on. Electricity, I understand there's, you have to outweigh what's important to you. But I think I think lighting is great. That's a great point. Yes, ma'am.
The signs that we can purchase online or wherever, she said, if our neighbors, our street purchases 4 of them, and we call them and she has them installed, they're going to be installed where we want them on our street, right? Not just randomly throughout the neighborhood?
I don't know.
I didn't hear the question.
The question was to say, Prairie Street here wants 4 signs. They want to buy those neighborhood watch signs. Look out for your neighbor, all that. The question was, if I go and get those 4 signs, I bring them to Public Works. Can I tell Public Works where to put them? Right? Everyone wants one right in front of their house. No, honestly, I don't know. I would say most likely not, but I don't know. I would say the city would say, hey, you want these signs, but we're going to put them at egress and ingress, right? So at the beginning of the street, you have a side street here, the other side street, and then at the main entrance off Severa.
Well, I'm just talking about if our street, however long it is and whatever street it is, twin flower. If 5 neighbors go in and say, we're all going to buy 5 signs, are those signs going to be on twin flower?
I would think so, but honestly, I don't know. Roxanne, ma'am, yes. In your past experience with the neighborhood watch signs and having Public Works place them, So, for example, the question was Twin Flower Street went in about 5 signs. Are those 5 signs going to go on the ingress and egress of Twin Flower, or are they going to be disseminated throughout the area?
We take the suggestion of the neighborhood, and then we let Public Works let them know what you guys want, and then collectively they'll make the right decision.
So
But you can tell us where you want them.
So if I buy them, if I just take it upon myself to buy 6 signs, but I want to make sure 2 of them are on my street because I bought them. I mean, I know it's going to be for the whole
You can tell
neighborhood,
us
but
what you like, and then we can definitely present it to Public Works. And if they maybe don't agree, we'll call you first.
okay.
We just won't be like, it ain't happening. We'll definitely call you and bring you another suggestion.
Can we place them ourselves?
No.
It's not recommended.
What are the signs? Are they like a 16 by 24 sign you can mount on a house?
Yeah, I
Stop
could
sign
put it
pole?
Batons, 20.
We can all put them in
12 by 18.
Honestly, I don't know.
Could we post them in our yard? If we
12
buy
by
them online?
18.
You can put anything on your yard unless your HOA is.
Okay, so if we're buying them online,
Yeah,
then we can. I mean, it's not like we're buying them new.
You want to get like
Something in the group where all of us
reflective, non-graffiti, the kind that doesn't stay.
They're almost like the size of, maybe a little bit smaller than a speed limit sign. If everyone's driven past them and then looked down at their speedometer.
So like our stop sign is like a 2-inch galvanized pole.
When I was a child, we used to have signs in our home, and like our house was a safe house for children in case someone was, you know, driving and they were afraid. They knew it was safe to come to our house. This neighborhood watch thing, in my wisdom, could be the same thing. We could each all get a sign that says that we're a part of this group, and then, like someone said, exchange phone numbers or whatever within your own street. Because why would I want to give my phone number to someone that lives over on Twin Flower when I live over on Pearson or whatever? So I would recommend.
I think you'll have a huge generation problem.
I'm sorry?
A generation problem with people not understanding what the safe home may be, or they
Well,
may.
no, I'm not meaning for kids. I'm just meaning for neighborhood watch. Period. I would think that that would deter us. You know, to see that sign in your window, they're going to know that John Doe across the street is watching out for my house. If you have, I'm saying it's reciprocal.
Yeah, I think it would hurt. I think if it's signs visible from the street, and there's nothing else set up, that a criminal would say, hey, I could probably get into that house, right? So maybe a steel screen door on the outside of your doorway. Your shrubbery is cut back a little bit better so that there's not a place that they can hide behind as they're trying to break in through your window. I think all those things will come into play, but yeah, I think if somebody saw that sign or say, hey, cameras are active or whatever, something like that, I think that would definitely be a deterrent.
And then do you ever recommend people getting together, like my husband and I go out on walks, and if we have our phones with us, and if we saw anything suspicious, we would call the police. Do you ever recommend people just going out on walks and random times of the night or day or whatever?
There are communities who take their community neighborhood that I've seen. There's a couple communities that are very vigilant. The issue that I have as a police officer is now you've just sent out 4 gentlemen who are like, all right, I'm going to go protect my neighborhood, right? And now they just did something or created a problem for me to now, borderline, did you just commit a crime because you did what you just did, or you're trying to maybe stop them yourself, but you went too far, and now you're putting me in a position where I say, well, I understand what you're doing, but maybe you went too far. So it all comes down to being vigilant and then reporting it, not necessarily taking action. Everyone has a right to defend themselves, okay? I'm not saying that you can't do that, but if you went looking for a problem or looking to solve a problem and you went about it the wrong way, then I don't recommend that.
I'm just thinking of if you have a potential burglar and they see people out walking at different times of the night, they might go, wow, I don't want to go in that neighborhood.
You guys have a person that runs with a bunch of dogs, right? He's got a bunch of lit up leashes. I see him every morning, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. He's always out there. I always say hi to him. He kind of scares me sometimes when he's running around, but yeah, I think that's great. I hope he has a cell phone. I hope he calls the police if he sees something that's just not right. But yeah, if you guys want to be active, if you get up in the morning prior to work and you want to walk the dogs and you see something, that's awesome. If you guys are, before you're going to bed, hey, let's take a lap around the neighborhood and kind of see what's going on. Maybe Nancy left her garage open or something. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's awesome, being vigilant. Yes, sir. Sorry, you had a question.
I just wanted to give kudos. My car was stolen one street over, and 2 hours they found it. I didn't know I had low jack for the people that, if you have your
This
car
deputy
stolen.
right here is a human.
I didn't know I had
human
low
jack.
jack, and that's how they found it.
That's awesome. Yeah, low jack is a thing. If nobody knows what low jack is, it's a aftermarket product that you can have installed on your car. So it's like a hot cold for the police, right? So this car has it. If you see any police car that's got 4 antennas and a little square on the back, they have a low jack receiver. So if they're within a general area of that car that's been entered into the system as stolen, that will start it. And then if I'm driving around, this thing will start yelling at me. It says, hey, low jack. It gives me a number. I run that number, tells me what kind of car it was. And then I follow this line basically says, all right, go that way. So and so it's a great tool. Not all police cars have them. And you have to be within a general area, and sometimes they're not good because they'll bounce off a mountain and it kind of comes in, it gets you bad reception. But it's not a bad tool or that you have. And LoJack comes and installs them on police cars for free, and they say depending on how many more hits, they add more cars if it's being used enough. So our car has it in Lake Elsinore, they have it in Wildomar as well. It's a good tool. Yes, sir.
Right. There was a question earlier about signs and even I've seen decals. I've actually been kind of going to all the houses in the neighborhood on a different mission. Anyway, and I've seen faded signs, they're like decals. So if anybody was interested in that, I'm imagining you've seen the Facebook group for Neighborhood Watch in Windsong. It might be better to buy them in bulk. We'll get them a better price if you want to use those. I've seen some that I think they started off as orange and they're like white now because they faded. Same would probably go with the signs, probably maybe buy them in bulk. So if they said Twin Flower wanted a couple signs, I'm over here on Unga, our sign's kind of old. Probably buy them in bulk. And they talk about Public Works. I'm thinking that we'd be able to find out before the purchase where they'd go, because I know that if we're going to buy one for my street, I pretty much want it to go there. So that was the observation I had. Also, I think the cameras are the ones, people either have the no soliciting signs, which that's nice, but the Ring doorbell and the hi, you're on camera, I think probably deters people more. Anyway, that's my thought.
With that, if you guys do get the signs, please, like Officer Baca said, contact her so that you have a representative from the police going to the city and saying, hey, this is what's going on. Don't take it upon yourself, knock on City Hall and say, hey, I'd like these signs installed. I don't know how good of a reception you're going to get.
Sure.
So just include the Officer Baca in that approach. I think that'll be a better outcome for you. I know they hit on Facebook earlier. As an investigative tool, my partner and I use online social media to help solve crimes. It happens, okay? You get at, you post a video. I recommend it. There's a bunch of different ones that communities, neighborhoods have, Nextdoor, What's Up, Lake Elsinore, all these different things that you can put. As an investigative tool, we definitely use it. I ask, because it's frustrating, right? Because I have to go through comments and I'm trying to, I get information, I have a description. So as a police officer, if I'm looking through all your comments, what I would like to see is the incident number, and then who the victim is, who's responsible for whatever property. If I get the incident number, at least I can look that up on my side. If not, now I kind of have to run your name, look at a picture, and say, how do I think that person is? And it just takes a little bit longer. So if you're going to post stuff on video, I recommend, that's the day and age we live in. I'm okay with that. But please call the police and report it. We don't monitor it all the time. They put a thing, let me call that person, or send them a message and say, hey, did you report that? Let me take that report for you. It doesn't work that way. So if you're going to put something on social media to let other people know, hey, this is what happened to me, or be on the lookout for my stolen truck, I think that's great. All we ask is that you call the police, because we'd like it to get onto our crime stats so that we can say, hey, city, you have this problem, whether you want to believe it or not, right? These are crimes that are occurring. We'd like to address it. We'd like officers, whatever the case may be. Our administration, our command staff can go to the city and they can do whatever that they do. I'm not privy to that, but they can ask for more resources because of what's going on. So if you're going to post stuff on social media, I'm cool with it. I think that's a great tool because now you have a bunch of eyes, right? You only have so many police officers in the area, but you guys live on this street, you on this street, this community. everyone talks, everyone has friends, networks everywhere. It's a good tool, okay, and that's the day and age that we live in. So I'm okay with that. All that we ask is in your headline or something, put an incident number so that when I'm looking into it, then I can look into the incident number and I can get more details than maybe you actually put, or I can go retrieve that report instead of, you know, it's a black car. So I think it's a great tool. If you guys are using it, just put a little more information because, to be honest, yeah, the police are monitoring that stuff. It helps us do our job. That's the day and age that we're in. But I'm not going to go on to that, send you a message and say, hey, did somebody take this report? If not, let me spend the next 20 minutes speaking with you to get it all situated. And now it's 4 days later when I may have seen it or whatever the case is. So definitely report things to our non-emergency number or emergency number if it's occurring. And if you're going to put it on social media, videos, a blog about, hey, we've had a string of whatever, put some type of incident number that you've obtained from the police department so that we can follow up if we're using it. Yes, sir.
Back to the signs, this gentleman over here was talking about wanting to get like signs on his neighborhood, and a few times you mentioned public works. Now, if you have the capability to install the sign yourself, is there a criteria as far as a location, how many you can put on? Can you put your number in with public works and say, hey, I volunteer to do these, if it helps?
Traffic engineers control signs, right? So they say, hey, we need to put these X amount of signs in a different area, okay? So if you're going to install them on your property, feel free to do it. If you're going to put them on the public's property, the city's property, I recommend you seek their advice and allow you to say, yeah, go ahead and do that, or no, don't do that. Let me come out, let's take a look at it, and let's try and do it together. I personally don't think the city's going to say, yes, sir, go ahead and post up whatever you'd like.
Well, for example, the wood mailbox post that you share with your neighbor, you had a sign, you just wanted to put 2 screws into that wood post below the horizontal board.
Me personally, I don't think that's an issue. I think the issue that we're talking about is you going, like this sign right here that's in the park, you're posting that on the side of the road. And if anything, if the city assistant comes by, most likely what is he going to say, you need to take this sign down. But it's your mailbox, you and your neighbor's mailbox. I don't think you're going to have it. Don't quote me on that, all right? Mike Kramer didn't say anything. Yes, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My wife and I, we're both Marine veterans.
Thank you for service.
Thank you. So we've been asking ourselves, like, because if my neighbor Brian, somebody goes to his house, we are trained to respond. That's what we do. What is the limit that we have? What's our limit? Because we won't allow anything to happen to our neighbor.
Okay, so, like, what are you saying? You're and your wife will grab your M16s and you're going to go out there and solve this problem.
Exactly, because that's what we are trained to do. That's
you as a private citizen are going to take all the liability there. You're going to put yourself in a bad spot. Right. Now, if the police got called and now we're responding to that, calls for service, right? Some crime actively happening, and we see 2 people that have rifles, it's going to be horrible. Okay. Right? Because I don't know who you are. I don't know you're the neighbor that's a Marine Corps veteran that has rifles that you have. I don't recommend that. No, 100% not. I recommend you be a good witness. You be vigilant. If you go outside of the confines of your home, right? Because we're protecting our house. Once you step on your driveway, wherever a mailman can go and drop a package off, the police can go and get that package, right? So if you're going to go into that mode, you're going to take all that liability, and it may not be good, right? I don't recommend you do that. I recommend you be a good neighbor and be vigilant. If you're hearing screams, we can hypothetical anything and everything, but your job as a homeowner or as a husband is to protect your family, your wife inside the compounds of your home. I do not recommend you go taking a firearm outside and trying to do that, because I would hate to be engaged in a gunfight with you not knowing. It would just be horrible, okay? And we don't want to deal with that. It's a lot of bad things with, you see these active shooter incidents and stuff. There's a lot of things that came negative to that because police officers, off-duty police officers would self-dispatch themselves, okay? So everyone carries a firearm, all the police officers, or they should, they have the lawful right, and why would you not? I'm always a police officer regardless of where I'm at or what I'm doing. If I have my family with me, I'm going to outweigh what's the reward and the risk. Am I able to safely disengage or safely deal with a situation, or am I going to say, hey, let's just stay right here, and if we have to protect ourselves or we have to kick into a mode, then we'll do it. But a lot of people self-dispatch themselves, and now you have friendly fire. You know, they're not wearing, they're just, you know, shorts and a t-shirt. I'm a cop. I'm going to go out and get in a gunfight or go and save some kids. I respect their mindset, their decision. However, you're putting the on-duty officers in a horrible position. So I recommend being a good witness. That's for the police too. If an incident happens here in the real world, the police are taught an active shooter at a school. I personally don't have any children. Okay, I'm the youngest of 9. I have 8 brothers and sisters. But as a police officer, we're trained, an active shooter, something like that, we're going to go in and find the threat. Okay, we're going, regardless. I'm going to show up at a school by myself. I'm going to grab what I have available to me, right? My tools, my toys, or whatever you want to call them. All the things that my wife said, you really need that? I said, yeah, hon, there could be this one time where, okay, and then credit card, right? So I'm gonna go in and try and neutralize that threat. That's what we're trained to do. I get paid to make decisions, and that's what we do. Okay, they're gonna give my wife something if I ended up dying, but if it was your child in the school, what are you going to do? So that's that's what they're telling us or teaching us to do. And if any officer does not do that, they better have a really good reason. There better be some other things going on where they could not do that. And it's the thing where we're bypassing people that are injured. Our goal is to stop whatever's happening so that it doesn't happen to everyone. So if we're bypassing people who are injured because we have to stop the threat. Once that's done, we're going to have the world coming, okay? But that's our goal. So a big problem, I'm getting off on a tangent, I apologize. Big problem was people self-dispatching, similar to his situation. Be a good witness, be a good neighbor, be vigilant, call us if you think it needs it. And you know what, you can always call back and say, you know what, that was the neighbor's grandkid coming to check the mail. Never mind, I don't need a police officer to come. You can always call. If you didn't get dispatched the call by then yeah, we can just clear the call and then we don't have to have an officer spend time on that and where he could be handling another call. So stuff like that. Don't be afraid to call us. Work things out with your alarm companies too. I'm sorry, ma'am?
What if they're breaking down your door and finding inside of your house?
All right. Well, are you home alone? Do you have children? Do you have a firearm? Do you have ways to protect yourself? In that situation, I recommend, if you can, get out of the house. If you can't, what can I use to defend myself? Where can I hunker down? So I tell my wife, hey, if something happens, or the way the houses are designed, you have the back bedroom, whatever. We have firearms in our house. I have a firearm, right? I carry one for work. We have guns in my house. Take a firearm. Put stuff between you and the door. So you have a big king bed. Go on the other side of that bed. If that door opens, and if you see it's not me, I hope you didn't get to that position. We'll probably communicate, right? You have some type of word with your family if you think, hey, it's Mike or whatever. Put things in between you and whatever that threat would be, and then call 911. Be quiet. Lock things. If you can climb out of a window, climb out of a window. If you can't, I always think that it just depends. You have to hit and miss. But if somebody's trying to open my door or knocks on my door, do I want to be silent and let them think nobody's here, or do I want to let them know that there's people in the house? Do I want to turn lights on and say, hey, yeah, what's up? I talk to people to the front door. You don't need to open your front door to see who it is. Okay, if you have a doorbell camera or a peephole, hey, how can I help you? What do you want? Why are you at my house at this hour, or what can I do for you? Oh, I'm this, that. Okay, well, I'm not interested. Thank you. Talk through the door. You don't have to open your door for anybody, right? If you don't feel comfortable opening the door, don't open your door. Okay? If you're somebody knocking on your door and you don't want them, well, call the police and says, hey, there's this guy at my door. He won't leave. He's just being silent, or he won't talk to me. I know he's there. I saw him. I heard him. I'm a believer of that. I would do that. If somebody's at my door, I'm gonna try and communicate with them through the door. I'm not gonna open my door. There's no reason for that. But put things in between you and wherever that threat is. If you can get away, get away. If you can't, defend yourself, right? 9/11 recently happened. You have people on a plane. At what point did the citizens or the people riding in the plane try and take out these guys that were trying to hijack the plane? The police are not going to be everywhere. You may have to take action on your own and defend yourself, and you have every right to do that. I just don't encourage you to go outside at your neighbor's house and do that. That wasn't good, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So did you say that it's better to talk through the
the door or to just?
If someone knocks on your door and you don't know who they are,
Yeah.
and you're not expecting anyone, hello, how can I help you? Through my door, closed.
Because usually I just let my dog bark, but.
That's good too. That lets somebody know, but maybe it is a good. You know, if it looks bad, or if it's somebody that's probably not shouldn't be there. You know, he's not wearing an orange Vivint shirt or a blue Dell or whatever they're wearing now. Yeah, the dog's a good thing. That criminals are in the studies and the researches that's been done. People asking, oh yeah, they had a dog. I wasn't going to that house. Criminals that have been bit by dogs, they.
But if you act like, but if you're home, that might be more of a
act like there's
you're
somebody
not
home. Even if you're not home, I've seen people. I've done it myself. I have a doorbell camera. I use it. It's a great tool if you don't have one. Hello, how can I help you? I'm busy right now in my house, or say something. Not my daughter's home. I don't recommend you say that. Yeah, my son or my husband, they're taking a nap. What can I say something to maybe deter them? Hey, maybe I'm not going to win this situation, or this isn't an easy target, because all they're looking for is an easy target. Somebody that did not pay attention and left their door open or car open, and they don't want a problem. They don't want a confrontation. If they get backed into a corner, just like an animal or something, then they're going to have an issue. But if they're looking for something easy, grab and go, and it's incumbent upon us as residents, as neighbors, to lock up the best we can and make sure that we look out for each other. So I think we're at a certain time, but I appreciate it. If you guys have more questions, we'll be here. If somebody wants to swing by, if other people have to go make dinner, do whatever you got to do, have at it. I appreciate you guys coming out.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you.
I think Officer Bosco wanted to add another word at the end, talk about another meeting that's going to be at City Hall.
Oh, yeah.
There's also like something for your refrigerator. It has the numbers on it. So there's a couple over here on the benches. So, and then the way to communicate is through the Facebook page, and we can decide what the next step is. Because obviously they're here to help us in the right direction, but it's a neighborhood community thing. So we're going to have to organize this if we want. So that's the place to communicate.
September 25th at City Hall at 6 p.m. We're having a meeting regarding the homeless outreach. So if y'all could go in, correct? If you have any concerns or any questions.
When is that meeting?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
So as a whole, if we're super interested in getting something going for this neighborhood watch, are we going to do something a little more than just getting like a communication network going? Do you want to organize
I think
something
we should
like monthly
put our.
meetings? Like how do we structure this so that people stay involved?
What I recommend is you guys have, like you just set this meeting up for us. You don't need the police to tell you how to do your guys' neighborhood watch.
Right.
Use common sense, use good judgment, keep yourselves safe, right? And just look out for your neighbors. But maybe, I know you guys have a couple pizza joints here in the city. Find out which one may have a big banquet room. Pie Nation is the newer, smaller one, and you have Stadium Pizza. Maybe get together and grab a bite to eat, in a common, relaxed area, or come here when it's cool.
And
But
if they do it at the park, then it's a visual.
Yeah, be respectful with each other's wishes and thoughts. Everyone has not everyone's gonna have the same ideas, but you guys have to brainstorm and be open to it. And then get block captains or neighborhood watch captains and kind of delegate some type of structure that you have somebody to contact and reach out, and then that can be the liaison. So if there's 30 residents, all of a sudden Rock send an email says, hey, we all got our signs. That's everyone being an individual, not necessarily you guys looking at your neighborhood community. I don't know exactly where the cutoff is for where you guys call Windsong, the neighborhood, because it goes all the way to Clinton Keys, really, right? You can get all the way there too.
That's
so
what I consider it.
You gotta figure out and that's a huge area. You have the newer homes, you have some older homes, you have this side of the street. So I recommend include everyone, make a big network, right? Everyone has eyesight and everyone can be vigilant and be good neighbors. And then Facebook or whatever your guys' line of communication is. I know you're gonna. Me personally, if I would want to, if I was involved in this, I'll look at some various pages. I'm not gonna lie, and I go, ooh, I almost want to get out of that page because it's not. There's some people are not helping the situation, right? And I don't need to know about your lost cat, right? I don't as a police officer. So just be, set up some type of guidelines and everything and work together. I think that's going to be crucial. But block captains are important. Deputy Glasser, Officer Glasser at the City of Wildomar one, he has a PowerPoint presentation. He was busy tonight. He couldn't come, but we didn't have the way to do it. But he'll present his PowerPoint, and it's be similar to tonight as well, of what Officer Baca had mentioned. But then they're going to go over some other things too, and that one's at City Hall, I believe. But I recommend you guys getting together just like you did, however your communication was. Obviously, you guys knew that we're having a meeting tonight, right? You had a great turnout, I thought. So, however you guys did that, and then maybe add a couple more people, right? Because you have a pretty decent area. And then just work together and figure out, okay, here's our boundary. This is the area we're calling the valley, right? You have your main streets, points, and then all your little side streets. So working nighttime, cat and cannery, that stop sign. Nobody stops at that stop sign after 10 o'clock. So true. But that one, honestly, when I was conducting enforcement, if you made no effort to stop at a stop sign, you got a ticket. If you even slowed down, at least you kind of cared. But I wanted the person that was making no effort, doesn't care, like the stop sign doesn't even exist, because they had no way to say, oh, I didn't see it. How long have you lived in the neighborhood? Been here. So that's all I recommend. Get together as a group, just like you guys did. I only recommend pizza because everyone can get a drink or food and stuff, and the kids can play on the pinball machine or whatever. They have the jungle gym too, so I guess it works out. But just do that. Figure out your area, all right, and then maybe work out how many signs we think we need, and then when you guys hash that out, you don't need 2,000 signs, one on every 5 feet on your street. And then go to the Officer Baca, go to the city, and then try and get that established, and then follow up with those people so that Public Works. I'm not gonna lie, there's the traffic engineer, they control signage and stuff like that where we need things. Public Works, they have also staffing issues. Okay, code enforcement, there's staffing issues everywhere. But in my dealings with them, Public Works and code enforcement, I've had great things come from them. Okay, they don't have a lot of people, but they've always been receptive to me and helped me get through some of the issues that I had as a police officer dealing with city issues.
Question. The homeless discussion at City Hall, what time is that meeting again?
6 p.m.
So however you guys arrange this, do that again. Sit down, work together.
Communication going.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And then let the police know. And then if you guys want to have a night, hey, this street, they're the guys that are going to go out and be vigilant tonight and drive their car around, and maybe they'll, if they see something suspicious, they'll be the ones to be a reporting party. Okay, and then the next week, okay, you guys have it. It's going to take some effort if you guys want to keep that going. There is a community in Lake Elsinore that is very good about it. I think that they might be a little too vigilant, right? Any random car it's a brand new neighborhood, right? So you have a bunch of new people. You don't, this guy doesn't look like he lives here. The housing track's only been open for a week, so do you even know their name? Just be cognizant of that. Okay, do you want to deplete all your resources for your city over something that, if he's driving by 4 times and there's 4 people in their car and they look like they do not belong, in the police world we call that a clue, and we're going to try and find out how to stop them and introduce ourselves. So just work together with the police too. If you see a police officer and you have something going on, if he's not running to his car because he has to go somewhere, I'm sure he can take 2 minutes out of his time and hear what you have to say. Or you should.
I first got it, I looked at
Thank you guys for being active.
Showered band.